Okay, number one, a circle has a radius of 5 meters. Find the area of a circle. So we use the area of a circle formula, pi times the radius squared. And they gave us the radius, so we would take 5 squared times pi. And 5 squared is 25 times pi. And remember, that area is in terms of square meters. So we can do 25 square meters, pi square meters, and we can also find its equivalent as a decimal. So that would be 25 times pi, which is 78.5 meters squared. Okay, number 5, the area of a sector AOB is 20 pi, and the measure of angle AOB is 100. We're going to find the radius of the circle, so we're going to work backwards here. Area of a sector. Remember that x over pi r squared equals the arc measure over 360. So x in this case is our area of a sector, and they gave it to us. So the area was 20 pi out of pi r squared, which r is going to be the thing that we're looking for. The arc measure is going to be the same as the central angle, so it's 100. We're going to cross multiply just like before. 100 times pi r squared, which is 100 pi r squared, equals 360 times 20 pi. So we'll do 360 just by 20, and we'll leave pi in our equation. So that equals 7,200 times pi. We're going to divide both sides by 100 pi. Pi over pi is 1, so that reduces to 1. And 7,200 divided by 100 would just be 720. Or would just be 72, sorry. So that leaves us with r squared equals 72. And we want r, so we would take the square root of both sides. So we would take the square root of 72. That would be 8.5 for the radius of our circle. Okay, number 7, we want the arc length and the area of the sectors. So we've got two problems. First, let's deal with arc length. Arc length is x over the circumference, 2 pi r. And that equals the arc measure, which is 88. I'm going to just abbreviate it as AM for arc measure, over how many degrees is in a circle, 360. So just looking for the arc length, x over 2 times pi times r, where the radius is 12. So 2 times 12 is 24 pi, and that equals the arc measure, which is the same as the central angle, 88 over 360. So I would cross multiply 88 and 24, so 88 times 24, which is 2,112 times pi, because I haven't put pi in the calculator, equals 360 times x. So I'm going to take 2,112 and divide it by 360. So that gives me 5.9 times pi. So the arc length is 5.9 pi, or if we put that in its decimal form, we get 18.5. Okay, the sector area of a sector is going to be x over the area for a circle formula, pi r squared, and that equals the arc measure over 360 The sector area we don't know, but we do know the radius is 12, and we're going to square that. So 12 squared is 12 times 12, which is 144, times pi, equals our arc measure, which is still 88 degrees, over 360 degrees possible. So I'm going to take 144 and multiply it by 88. 144 times 88 equals 12,672, all times pi, and that equals 360 times x. So I'm going to divide 12,672 by 360. And I get 35.2 times pi equals x for the area of my sector. So I do 35.2 times pi millimeters squared, or I can see what that is as a decimal, 35.2 times pi, which is 110.6 millimeters squared. Okay, number 15. When you have a shaded region, you first start with the area of the big, so the area of the bigger object, and subtract the area of the non-shaded portion. Or we can say you take the area of the shaded and subtract the area of the non-shaded. But usually we take the bigger from the smaller. So we'll start with number 15. The area of the big circle. Well, first we got to figure out what the radius of the big circle is. It's 2 plus 4, so it's 6. So the area of the big circle is area equals pi r squared, where our radius is 6, so 6 squared is 36 pi. So that's the area of the big circle. Now we're going to subtract the area of the small circle. So pi times the radius squared, where the radius is 2. So 2 squared is 4 pi. So we take the area of the big minus the area of the small. The big is 36 pi, and we subtract the small, 4 pi. Well, you have 36 pi minus 4 pi, that means you have 32 pi left over. And that's area, so we're dealing with inches squared. The equivalent in terms of decimals is 32 times pi, so 100.5 inches squared. Okay, number 19. Same thing, but now we have rectangles. We're going to take the area of the big and subtract the area of the small. So the bigger rectangle is length times width, and the smaller rectangle is also length times width. The length of the big rectangle is 14. The width of the big rectangle is 8. We're going to take that number and subtract the little rectangle. The length of the little one is 10. The width of the little one is 4. So we take 14 times 8, which is 112. That's the area of the big rectangle. And we're going to take away the area of all this, the little rectangle. So we're going to subtract 10 times 4, which is 40. So 112 minus 40 will give us the area 72 units squared.